Everybody, and welcome back to Capricorn Radio. And I'm delighted to be talking to Dr. Valery Uvarov. Personally met Dr. Valery Uvarov at the Bosnian conference this last year. Been excited about doing an interview with Dr. Valery Uvarov today, and let me tell you a little bit about him. He's the head of the Department of UFO Research, Paleosciences, Paleotechnology at the National Security Academy of Russia. He's devoted more than 14 years to ufology as well as to the study of legacy of ancient civilizations. Valery is the author of numerous papers on ufology and exoterica published in Russian and foreign press, and is the initiator of and participant in a number of expeditions to India, Egypt, in search of material evidence for ancient knowledge. He's a regular participant in international UFO conferences, and he gives lectures and seminars in Russia, the UK, USA, Germany, Scandinavia, and of course Bosnia. So without further ado, let's bring on today's guest. Hi Valery, welcome to the show.
Hello my friend, nice to meet you here, and hello to all your audience.
Oh, it's great to have you here, Valery, and like I say, we met in Bosnia. I was hoping for a TV interview there, but it didn't happen. So busy out there, Valery. So much to see and do as well. And what a wonderful conference and a mix of people we met when we were there. You know, and that's the thing. We were talking out there about ancient knowledge, pyramids, UFOs, all sorts of wonderful stuff. I've got you for an hour today, and I want to do some justice to you and your research too. So I've got so many topics. Like you say, we could spend a week talking about them. I guess for the audience, Valery, let's talk a little bit about kind of what got you into this, and maybe talk about the wands of Horus, because I think this is one of the most fascinating things that you have done. Incredible.
Well, actually, not only the wands of Horus are a very interesting subject. Actually, I was interested, and I am interested in anything which can give us a real benefit. I mean, our present life. Mm-hmm. Because knowledge, ancient Egyptian knowledge, contains so many interesting sides which are not opened up till today. So all this, for today, it's already 24 years of investigation have been concentrated on trying to filter out these pieces, small grains of this ancient knowledge, and to understand what actually stands behind this knowledge, what we can use now for our present life to increase our, energetical capacities, our psychic abilities, to improve our immune system, and to improve immune system and, mental capacities of our kids and our surroundings. So this is the subject, practical subject, which I'm interested in, and I'm investigating for the last 25 years already.
Sure. Tell us a little bit about the academic institution you're involved with. People find this part fascinating, that an academic institution could research some esoteric knowledge or UFOs, but I know Russia is very different like that, and Russia is leading, for me, it's leading the way, whereas the West seems to be a bit taboo about these subjects.
Well, yeah, you're right. In Russia, the situation is quite different. At least for at least 5 years, on Russian state TV, we have many programs each week on the subject, about UFO, about ancient knowledge concerning Egypt, Sumeria, Mayan civilization, where you can listen to military, stuff talking about their experience and their knowledge, and scientifically, empowered people, scientists who also spend many years investigating the subject. So now Russia is really a very interesting place to know and to learn a lot about the subject. I personally started, as I told you, more than 25 years investigating this subject. And I tell you that I was invited to work in National Security Academy because I did a lot of important steps in investigation. And for me also was also important to know with whom I'm going to work in National Security Academy because, it's like I was thinking about military aspects of this knowledge and the military usage. But later on, I came to understanding and conclusion that the people who invited me there, they were just normal people who were investigating and watching UFO activity over Russian borders and Russian skies for many, many years, at least 25 years before we met. And they were deeply interested in also practical aspect. Is it dangerous for people or not? What kind of benefits can be, achieved or received? Actually, just shortly, I told you that the people are interested in a positive aspects of this knowledge. That's why I said, okay, and we started to work together. For me, it was also very important because with the help of these people, I get access to very interesting information, data and archives, which usually you will never get access to. Because this is closed libraries where only, top secret documents are, there on the shelves. And I found there, on one hand, just simple materials where there were a lot of factual information about, when the militaries watched activity of UFOs, sometimes UFO landing cases, sometimes contact cases which took place between ETs and militaries. And then also I was very impressed by archive which is now in Moscow. And this is archive of Ahnenerbe. You know what is the German Nazi organization Ahnenerbe, which have been investigating all these subjects also before war for many, many years. And Germans, they did a wonderful job. So it so happened that the biggest part of this archive now in Moscow. And when I had this, papers in my hands, with the maps of South Pole underwater tunnels, how German military submarines, when and where they were going down 4 meters deep, and then when they entered these tunnels, and then how they were working through, just moving through, what angle, how long. So they were moving more than 600 miles. And then when they were up on the surface of the water, it was quite a different place. The Earth, but the other dimension. You see, I was, let's say, like paralyzed, to see such kind of documentation. Wow. So, thanks to National Security Academy possibilities, I get access to this information, which is very helpful for my investigation. And so, step by step, I was gathering information, and now I published a few books. And I'm trying to bring forward this knowledge and to share this knowledge with the people for daily usage, for our benefits, for benefits of our families.
Sure. And that's the thing, Valery. I bought a pair of the insoles when I was in Bosnia, and I actually used them. I actually have some lower back pain. And when I put them on the bare skin and I walk to the shop. I cycle it. It's a bit of a 2-mile walk. And when I do that, I have an hour walk in them a day. I find the back pain goes. So maybe just tell us a little bit about the design of the wands of Horus. And this is coming from a user. I like them. I feel the benefit, and I know you talked about it when I was out there. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a go because there's nothing else fixing my lower back pain. But maybe just talk about the Baka body, the wands of Horus, the design, and what it actually does to the human body.
Well, okay, let's start like this. If you take a look on any ancient statues of ancient Egyptian pharaohs or priests, you will see some objects on hands, in hand with swords, or strange metallic insoles on their foot. So many different stuff. And I tell you from the beginning that all of these things had a very strict and deep meaning. So for these 25 years, I was trying to understand what is the central idea of the ancient knowledge, because we know and we heard about the pyramids. We have heard, and I was talking during my presentation about all that wonderful effects which pyramid has on a human energetic structure, on human consciousness, and so on. And I was interested, what is the middle of this knowledge? And I came to a very important conclusion, and I'll try to bring this conclusion in a few words. So, I'll do it like this. What we know, and what we know from Eastern tradition like Yin Yang, okay? What we know from Egyptian tradition like Baka, and we consider it to be, and we know it as the two different aspects of life, like male and female beginning. And I think many people have heard about it and know about it, but one important aspect have been missed. That Yin Yang and Baka is two encountered flows of time. So the main idea of the all knowledge of ancient Egyptian, mystic, let's say, not only Egyptian, all over the world, because this knowledge have been received from one source, and this source have been extraterrestrial, received from very high developed civilization. That's why we must be very careful and very attentive talking about it. So this knowledge gave idea. We need to understand that all processes are influenced inside of our organism with the help of these two flows of time. How we can do this? How we can correct these flows of time? For this, they used an instruments. And the most interesting and very clear for understanding, this is so-called the wands of Horus. They keep them in the hands, these cylinders, and you can see them on many statues, and also the same principle was embodied in the insoles with copper and zinc inserts. So to control the inner biological time, we need, or ancient, they used an instrument to create difference of potential between right and left part of the bodies. We know that right part of the body charge positive, left charge negative. So, and then when they took an instrument, it was produced from copper. It was a mixture of copper and gold, zinc and silver. So when you take this instrument in the hands, immediately between right and left part appears a difference of potential. And interesting that this difference of potentials is changed. It's like a movement up and down, up and down. And ancient texts also mentioned that the correction of inner biological time goes on under the control of human, we call it endocrine system. Okay? That's the key moment. So they invented, let's say, a very simple but very effective way to control an inner biological time. The other very important aspect, which I also would like to talk about now, is that the main idea, based on understanding that nothing in this world knows better about you, what happens with your organism, taken in account where you sit or where you live, what you ate today in the morning, okay? All the processes which are going on in our organism, this is a very complicated processes, okay? And at the same time, I'd like to point out that our body consists of millions and millions of cells. Each cell has its own vibration. Then the conglomerates of the cells form organs, and each organ has its own biological vibration. And then the whole organism also has its own vibration, okay? And there are so many signals which should be taken into account that we cannot use any computer to calculate it. You know, it's impossible. If you will imagine just computer, and you will be, like a New Year, tree,
Sure.
many different sensors on your body. Okay, so and then these sensors will be checking what's going on with all your cells. Then the computer to analyze this information should be like our planet in size. So it's impossible. Forget about any small, devices like this. Forget. No. An ancient text says that there is our inside doctor who knows about it, what our organism needs. What actually in this case we need to do? To amplify the signals of inner doctor. Okay? So, and the wands of Horus and the insoles with copper and zinc inserts, this is the instruments which are amplifying on one hand these signals. On the other hand, they are stimulating and helps to increase our aura around the human body. So in case when our channels, energetic channels are clogged, inside, and the signals do not go through, then our aura, with the help of the wands of Horus, starts, or let's say, makes our aura to vibrate with the vibration range necessary to correct deviations from normal. And what is again important, that all these signals are checked, corrected, and sent by our own organism, by our endocrine system. And this is the key moment, because this influence is absolutely natural. Second moment. And then another one, very, very important. The ancient text says that human beings have been created not as we think like extraterrestrial civilization. We have been created by planet Earth, and the planet Earth is our mother. And you know that between the mother and the child, there is a very close connection. Yeah. And when child is crying, mother being in the office immediately feels that, something is going wrong with the child, and the same with the child. If mother is very nervous, child starts to cry, because this connection is very, very, very close, and women, they know about it. The same with a human being. So, ancient text says that for good health and for proper development of human abilities, immune system, whatever we need to develop, we need to synchronize the energetical body of a human being with energetical body of the planet Earth. Because human body and the planet Earth, we have quite the same construction. Human body has the physical body, and humans, we have the physical body, and the planet Earth has the physical body. We have the 7 energetical bodies, and the planet Earth has also 7 energetical bodies. And this analogy is pretty long. So if you will use this analogy, we can get to understanding of the keys. So the ancient Egyptian knowledge is based exactly on this analogy. That's why they produced, on one hand, very, very simple instruments like the wands of Horus or insoles with copper and zinc inserts. But the mechanism which they use is so complicated, so, amazing, that I had to wrote the whole book, 400 pages, to describe this wonderful instrument and how it works.
I was talking about the physical aspect and how it was helping my back pain, and I can see how that works. As an engineer, I think about potential, electricity, the flow of current through the body, two different metals.
Okay.
But we also have a right brain and a left brain, and when you were talking about the right body and the left body, would that perhaps affect our consciousness as well? Would it affect it?
Sure, because the mechanism of the instruments we are started to talk now is very closely connected with the human brain and consciousness. That's the key moment. That's right. That's the reason why when we took this instrument, and we keep this instrument, I mean the wands of Horus, Indian souls, approximately in 3-4 minutes, our blood circulation is, let's say, is stimulated. Blood starts to move a little bit more, speed, and the blood became more like, liquid. It starts to move more free. So the instrument actually being connected with the human consciousness stimulates not only physical body, it stimulates energetical body, it stimulates nervous system, and it stimulates our consciousness. By the way, if just after these 25 years of investigation of these instruments and the pyramids too, I came already to understanding, and I see some other aspects of these instruments, and I'm going next time during my presentations to describe these other aspects, giving the knowledge how to use the pyramids and these instruments much more proper than it was done before. So sure, people are interested in these instruments, and they are interested what kind of benefits which we can get out of these instruments. And I tell you, important thing is that first, the wands of Horus and the insoles with the copper and zinc and zergs, listen, it's very important. At the beginning, they have been invented or given to people on our planet Earth as the tool against cancer. It's very important aspect. It's a tool against cancer. And as soon as the mechanism which they use is very deep and very, very resonated with the human body, we have a lot of positive influence on a human energetical structure and a human body. So when we take the instrument like insoles on our legs and in hands, the instrument starts to correct all deviations from norm, and this instrument is able to correct it, especially when these deviations are at the beginning. That's an important moment. And even when the illnesses are on the most deeper level, also we can correct a lot of problems with blood system, with bones, with nervous system, with immune system. So actually, we have an instrument for very deep and effective influence our not only energetical body, not only physical body, and yeah, I agree with you, our mental aspect of our life too. That's right.
Sure. You know, Valery, I think we should take the Egyptologists out of Egypt and let people like you guys in there to look at the artifacts, because you have a fresh, clean perspective on things, and I love to see this because, I mean, when you look at the pictures of the wands of Horus in the hands, and to be honest with you, I even remember I actually thought they were carrying like a wheelbarrow or something, like, you know.
No, yeah, that's right.
You know, and it looks.
But
like
you know, I tell you that understand this instrument is possible only in one case.
Yeah.
If you know physics,
Yep.
if you know mathematics, if you know medicine, if you know chemistry, and if you know the knowledge about metals and their effects. Also, you need to know a lot about different minerals and their effects. And also you need to know astronomy.
Sure.
So if you have this knowledge, in your head, then you will be able to understand what stands behind pyramids, the wands of Horus, the ancient texts, and the other things. If you are just archaeologists and you know just how to dig, or maybe Egyptian language or Sumerian language, believe me, it's absolutely not enough to understand what stands behind.
I'm glad you mentioned pyramids, Valery. Let's move on to pyramids. I think one of the most exciting projects on the planet at the moment you're in charge of, and that's the Pyramids project in Siberia. Please tell the audience a little bit about the project, or what you can. I know there's some probable secrecy around it, or like any project until it's finished. There's some details you're going to keep back, but tell us what you can about the project, the aim, the benefits, and where it's located.
Okay, just a few years ago, like 4 years ago, I have got a phone call from a man who was living in the middle of Russia. And he said that he came across my website about the pyramids, and he wrote my books. He read my books. So he has got like an offer, like a project, and he would like to share it with me. So we met in a restaurant here in St. Petersburg, and he said, listen, I'm living in Tomsk. This is just the middle of Russia, and we have approximately 1 million people living there. Among these people, we have 450,000 students.
Wow.
And he said, listen, I have a great wish to create energetic capacities in my city so that it could help and stimulate creative abilities of these students. Is it possible? He asked me. I looked at him. I was so astonished. And I said, yes, it is possible, because 25 years of investigation of the pyramid effects gave me understanding actually what is pyramid. And I tell you for sure that pyramid will play decisive role in the future of our civilization. With help of the pyramid, we can change energetic environment of the places where we live. We can actually transform the energetical environment. We can transform what we call the field of mind of the planet Earth, so that in 10, no more than 15 years, everything will be changed completely. And our kids will be more healthy, much more clever. We can get so many positive effects that I told you, I wrote the whole book about it. So that was the chance when a man came and said, listen, I have enough, resources to finance this project. He also said that he has 30% of the food market of that area in Siberia. He's a dealer, and he said, I would be very happy to expose all this food, like juices, like, different stuff in this pyramid, and then to sell this food, healthy food, to the people living in Tomsk. Because during our investigation of the pyramid influence on human, nature and non-human nature, we came to strict conclusion that the food which have been exposed into the pyramid has a very strong immune stimulating effect. And not only, there are so many positive effects on the nervous system. Anti-stress effect, also antiviral, very powerful antiviral effects. So also it helps to stimulate in organism the powers to strike against negative influence of solar storms and magnetic storms. So there are so many positive effects. So when we came to understanding what pyramid is actually and how it can be used, then the second answer which I gave to myself is that we are standing on a little bit wrong, let's say, level or wrong position. Why I'm talking like this? Because all the pyramids which we have now on our planet, and the pyramids in Egypt, in Maya, whatever, all these pyramids are destroyed. So, when authors and scientists, they have been talking and writing about the pyramid effects, actual pyramid effects on the human body, it was not honest, let's say like this, because we are talking about destroyed pyramids. So, and that was the moment when we came to understanding of necessity to build up big scale, honest pyramid with all that very effective and small details which have been filtered out from ancient texts for last 25 years I was working with, and also for last 15 years in Russia have been done a lot of independent scientific tests which were concentrated also on the pyramid effects on human and non-human origin. So putting all this together, from 2006 we started and built the first big-scale test pyramid, let's say like a pilot pyramid, where we did very important analysis and tests, not only with the chemical subjects, like also, I'm talking about medical aspects of the tests and investigation. And so when the man a few years ago came and supposed to build a complex of the pyramids in Tomsk, we have been already to bring like a complete knowledge and to build something like a complex containing a few results of investigation. That's why we call it the Project 12, because we can bring together 12 aspects which can be very positively used for our life. So, and 4 years ago we started to build this complex. We already built the central pyramid. It's a structure, very, very unusual structure, four-sided pyramid, but inside we have 25 chambers, and all chamber they has a special parameters and tuned on a special range of energies. The pyramid stands on the 12-facet foundation, which is 4 meters high. So we brought together, as I said already, very interesting aspects, how to cut off negative energies coming from the earth, okay? We put together all that we can help us to produce smaller pyramid, not like Cheops pyramid, because Cheops pyramid, like 146 meters high. This pyramid, which we built, the whole construction, is approximately 18 meters high. But you can believe me now, this 18 meters high pyramid is much more effective and energetically strong than Cheops pyramid. I am, as investigator, can tell you that Cheops pyramid is active only 49 days per year.
Wow.
The other days, pyramid is silent. This pyramid in Tomsk is active 365 days. And also, this year we start to build 8 more pyramids around the central one. The whole complex will be 33 pyramids. And what is a really great achievement of us is that under the whole complex, we have created what we can call now energy source. This is the most important aspect, and the wands of Horus, the construction of the instrument, the mechanism of the instrument, helped us to understand what is this, the source of energy, and how it must be built on a much bigger scale. So what we did now, this is something that have not been done for the last, I'll tell you, 15,000 years. What is actually this energetic source? What it means for the pyramid? I'll give you just a short example. Like if you take just the temple, okay? We go each Sunday to our churches, okay? And we pray, and we turn to God. We will just talk about the churches. Inside of this church, if this church is built as we usually build, without golden section, proportions, and without the energy sources which should be installed underneath and in the walls, from 100 of people, only 3 people maximum will feel so-called church or temple effect. You understand what I mean? Sure. Temple effect. Sure. If the energetic source would be or will be installed inside or under the pyramid or under the church, 97% of people, 97 from 100, will feel this temple or church or pyramid effect. You see, huge difference. So actually, I tell you, like an idea, we have millions of people in this world which are mentally, according to their soul impulse, are very much oriented on the spiritual development. And these people is trying to do their best being on the way of self-development. But unfortunately, they have no this knowledge, and they are doing their steps. Let's say they're trying to find something in the very empty room. And this is the reason why I'm trying to bring forward this knowledge, because I'm sure, 100% sure, that all these people, if they would use this knowledge in the proper way, the results of their self-development will be quite 100 times more effective, bigger. It will be quite a different story. And thinking about humanity, I feel excited. I want to share it with you. And thanks to you, James, that you are helping me to do this.
Valery, can you talk a little bit about the use of crystal and water inside the pyramids as well? Maybe the size of the crystal itself is massive, this piece of crystal that you have, and the running water inside the pyramids?
Yeah, sure. Because actually the general construction, the general schema of the whole complex, which will contain 33 pyramids, it's like a central Atlantis complex. You remember these channels of water in the form of Christ, and then 3 rings. We will have the same things here. But the energy source, actually, which must be connected with water, it has a crystal of quartz in the middle. It's the heart of the energy source. And this is the chakra. And the size of the chakra, as you understand, it is in a great dependence of the, let's say, the size of energy vortex coming out of it. So the bigger the crystal, the more powerful is energy vortex coming from there. That's why you see on the pictures of the Tomsk pyramid, we have a, pretty big crystal, but this crystal now is quite under the pyramid. And what is interesting that in all ancient texts, in Russian texts, in Buddhistic texts, in Egyptian texts, you can find description that before temple was built, they made a hole and they put in the middle of this hole the statue of Buddha. You see what it means? It means they put something. I'm just describing the text, which is translated now by present scientists, okay? They describe it like this. But idea is that under the building where you're going to live or pray, on a certain depth, there must be something like a source of knowledge, okay? An energy of the God, Buddha, okay? Energy of the Buddha installed underneath. So if this is done, then temple or flat becomes a source of energy of life. That's the text. And this is the key moment.
I'm glad you mentioned Atlantis as well. I've looked at Kailash as well. Do we think Kailash is the Hyperborean temple of the north that was referred to in texts? And is Kailash a pyramid, perhaps?
Oh, there's only one part of earth and knowledge which aware what means Kailash. No, Kailash is not a pyramid, but Kailash is the reflector. This is on one hand, very few people can see the difference, but reflector may have not perfect shapes of the pyramids. Important is or are the mirrors where the sides of Kailash and where they are turned to. One side, the northern side of Kailash, is turned to former northern pole, which is now situated in the Greenland. Mm-hmm. And eastern, these two sides, they are oriented exactly, what is interesting, on the Cheops pyramid and on the pyramid of Atlantis. It's just detail. But what is Kailash for planet Earth? Kailash plays the same role as hypothalamus and hypophysis plays for our organism and consciousness. Kailash is the antenna which is receiving signals from outer space. And then this energy and information being transformed by Kailash in the range acceptable by human consciousness and organism, this information and energy signals are sent by energetic channels of the Earth to a different parts of the surface of planet Earth. And where this channel goes out, goes to the surface, like energy channels or nervous channels goes to the surface of the Earth, you will find a temple, an ancient temple. So in ancient time, all temples have been, put on a very special places. Mm-hmm. At the end, exact end of the channel connected with Kailash. That's the general meaning of Kailash.
Wow.
I hope I was understandable for you.
No, totally. It's a fascinating place. I only became aware of it recently. I just think it's incredibly fascinating to talk about.
And the other thing, which is also, I think, will be very important for our listeners, for our audience, the question, when Kailash is active? Because Kailash is receiving information periodically, okay?
Sure.
And these periods are closely connected with what we call cyclic processes. Mm-hmm. The processes which are going on in cycles. And I tell you that the book you have been, completed just recently, and you sent me thanks for the book.
Oh, thank you.
And about these complexes also in Scotland, one of the idea of these complexes and this orientation to the very special points on the horizon also have been very deeply and closely connected with the cyclic processes. Why? Because this is the moment, a certain day is the moment where during 12 days, the core of the planet is emitting the energy of life. You need to know exactly when it happens. For that, you need to calculate a calendar. Okay? So this answer I will divide into two main parts. Talking about Kailash and anything which is connected to energy or energy channel system of Kailash. All these temples are activated by Kailash. I told it already. When? Take a calendar of all holidays, all these sacred holidays of Buddhistic temples and so on. This is exactly the days of activation of Kailash. Okay? Understandable? Yes. Then, why we see the same type of instruments which are oriented on solstice and the other very important moments during the year is in connection with the sun, and a lot of them, thanks to the gods, are stayed, let's say, alive in Scotland and in the other parts. Because 13,667 years ago, a huge planetoid attacked planet Earth. It was a huge, terrible impact when planet Earth not only changed the angle of rotation.
Sure.
Yeah, it was changed. At the beginning, it was changed for 20 degrees south and 20 degrees west. And then, within a few hundred years, it was a relaxation on the 5 degrees of relaxation. And then we have got left 15 degrees. So the present northern pole is 15 degrees away from the former northern pole, which had been situated in the Greenland, okay?
Sure.
And then planet Earth lost its orbit. Before, the calendar contained 360 days.
Yeah.
You see? And now we have 365. Why? Because planet Earth lost its orbit and moved away from the sun. And we have got 5 days more. That's why climate have been changed critically, became very cold. And what is also the key moment? The former canon, the former system, the former calculation table of all psychic processes have been broken. And the priests, they badly needed to recalculate all the psychic processes. So, can you imagine that according to ancient texts, and especially Egyptian texts, I am talking first about Dendera zodiac, okay? Mm. According to this zodiac, we can calculate that priests those people who carried knowledge and was watching the sky, they had to wait 1,150 years until the planet Earth had been stabilized.
Wow.
Okay? And then they started recalculation of all cyclic processes. So they built these complexes like node, okay, like many others complexes, for one reason. They have been watching the sun. They have been watching Venus, especially Venus, because 5,000 years ago, we had no Venus on our skies. According to ancient texts, Venus appeared 3,000, it seems to me, approximately a little bit more than 3,000 years ago.
Sure.
Before, there were no Venus on the sky.
Sure.
So new planet appeared on the sky because it was done because the whole order of the solar system have been broken. In ancient texts, they say about the chaos which took place in our solar system. And actually, those who tried to put the system in order had to spend more than 10,000 years just to stabilize the system. So at the last moment, when the system came to an order, the ancient priests, they started to build these wonderful complexes all over the world to recalculate the psychic processes, and they did it. And they produced a new system. And according to a new system, they started to orient on new time. That's the deepest, one of the deepest meaning of these complexes. And I know that your job and your interest is very closely connected with this knowledge, because it's maybe it looks like simple when you look on this, for some people strange, like a construction. But when you start to investigate it, all details, all this connection with the sun, with the moon, with the, Venus, in many, many aspects, you are getting to wisdom of ancients, wonderful wisdoms. So, James, I'm so happy that you are in this, business. So, great thanks to the God that you are in company. I love you very much. And again, I tell you great thanks that you gave me a chance to share these important details and knowledge with people.
Oh,
thank you.
Valery. And you're right, I look at it from latitudes and longitudes and places on the planet. Again, we have the magnetic North Pole has been shifting to Greenland, and we have evidence of that. And
so many things. You can, look at the stuff as wide as possible. Yeah. And you will find so many connections. And the more connections we have, the more clear picture we see. So, great.
Valery, we're at the top of the hour. I really thank you for your time today. There were so many things I wanted to talk about. I think I'll get you back on for another show in the near future. I wanted to talk about Tunguska, and I wanted to talk about Siberian megaliths, but I think we'll save that for another day, Valery. And, you have an open ticket to come back on the show anytime. Can you just give us your website, Valery? I know you're going to have updates on your website this year, but give us a website for the listeners, and I'll update the YouTube description when it comes out.
Well, just on one hand, I'll try to pronounce, okay? So the main thing is www.once-of-horus.com. This is one. The other is also actually for you, sorry, for you, it's going to be like www.healinginsouls. Healinginsouls.com or .ru.
Okay.
There you will find information about insouls.
As well. Of course, you can Google that and you'll find that on Google too. Valery, I really thank you for your time today. I look forward to seeing you in the near future, and maybe we'll get you to a conference in the UK, hopefully.
Well, I will be very happy. And I promise I'll try to make my English language better.
You're doing wonderful today. I hope my accent wasn't too bad for you today either. So I thank you for your time.
Okay, my friend. Thanks to all listeners. I'm very happy to share this knowledge with you. Thanks to you, James, for your big heart. And I know that you're always thinking about people. Always thinking. So, James, you keep in mind that I'm always close to you. Just let me know when, and I will be close to you, and I'll share my time with you with open heart.
Thank you for your time, Valery.
Thank you, James.